aka Big G Anthony, and we are back for another episode of Massive Action Mindset. This week, I have the beautiful Miss Toni Jones in here. What we're going to talk about today is real estate investing. She's a broker, and she has a lot of information that she's going to bring so that you guys can know how to go out and start your flips, your investing in real estate by the end of this show. So if you're on Facebook, make sure you like, share, start a watch party, because again, what we're out here to do is provide as much value as we possibly can to give you the actionable steps that you can take to go out and create that second or third source of income. What this is all about is options, having options, people. That's the only way you're gonna start going down the road of creating financial freedom. Make sure if you're on YouTube, you like, subscribe, click the bell so you know when we're uploading new content. With that being said, I'm gonna introduce Toni and let her give you a little bit of background about where she started from and how she got into real estate.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the great introduction. I appreciate you. And thank you for having me on the show.
Anytime.
I appreciate it. Giving me a chance to have a voice here.
No problem.
So, I love it. I've been in real estate for 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
I got started when I read the book Think and Grow Rich.
Another one.
Think and Grow Rich. And Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Oh.
Right? Rich Dad Poor Dad was the direct catalyst for real estate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Robert Kiyosaki just talking about his experience with his friend's dad who was wealthy,
Yes,
basically owned the island of Hawaii because of real estate.
Mm-hmm.
And that just really inspired me. I'm like, okay, we got to figure out how to do this real estate thing,
mm-hmm.
right? If that's how you build wealth in America, we got to figure out how to do this. So
mm-hmm.
at that point, I had no idea, how to get started. But I'm a big believer that any question you ask is going to be answered, right?
Mm-hmm.
Seek and you shall find. And so I really just started looking for the path.
Okay.
And back then, the first step, because I always believe there's always a first step, right? There's something you can do, either whether it's going on the internet or asking a question, right? There's always that first step in front of you, even when it seems like a huge, overwhelming project to get to where you're trying to go. There's always that next step that you can take, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I started out with doing some research, and that led me first to the lending field, the lending piece of real estate.
Okay.
So I actually started out with loan origination, with going out and talking to people about money, right? How do you get your money right, right? To get into real estate or to own your first home.
Mm-hmm.
And so I spent about a year and a half in doing loan origination. I had this limiting belief at the time that, to actually be a real estate salesperson, you might need a degree in real estate or something, right? Where did I get that from? I have no clue, because it's so far from true.
Yeah.
So far from true. But through a sequence of events, I came across someone that said, oh yeah, I'm getting my real estate license. I said, oh, how do you do that? And I found that it was as simple as attending Gold Coast schools, anywhere from a week straight to a couple of months, depending on your schedule. At the time, I was working full-time, so I opted for the evening classes and spent a couple months, doing the evening classes. And did I have time to do it? No. But you can find time for what you want to do, right?
Exactly.
So at the time, I was a single mom and had a full-time job and already doing loan origination, and still figured out how to go and start my real estate career. So I did that and really made the transition to more real estate sales. Then the loan origination, I kind of figured, since I'm new to both, let me pick a side, right? And so I really spent, most of the last 15 years very focused on real estate sales, working directly with sellers as well as buyers. My heart has really been working with a lot of first-time home buyers. I love helping people get started. I love helping people figure out what that first step is, to accomplish their dreams and goals. Yeah, so I spend a lot of time working with first-time home buyers, and to this day, I'll still, I love to point first-time home buyers in the right direction, and how to get started. And now, that brings me all the way to full circle back to loans, where I'm helping real estate investors figure out how to get started. So again, that's my thing, how to accomplish your dreams and goals, right? Everything from the mindset to accomplish your dreams and goals to the action steps that you can take to get there. So my focus now is how to help the real estate investors get started.
You know what? I just want to go back just a little bit because I just want to make sure that the individuals that are listening to this pick up on these nuggets. You know, and here's one right here. I'm telling you, I want to get me a massive action mindset nugget so I can drop it every time one comes out. So you guys know to pay attention. Take notes. What Toni just said was that she was working a full-time job. She was a single mother. Her plate was filled, but she still found time to go and pursue something that was going to benefit her in the long run. So it's absolutely true. Things that you truly want, you find time for it. You cut out just a little bit of something that is not what I call income producing type of activity, is not bringing anything into your life except holding you where you're at. You find out what those things are. You can take that time out and utilize that to build yourself. You know, in those 2 books, we've been, this is almost our 30th show now. And every time we speak to someone that's into entrepreneurship, the first thing they say are the books that they read is Think and Grow Rich, which is one of them, and always, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad. That was one of the books that I read. No, actually, I read both of them, but the book that really made me just start looking at things from a different perspective is how Robert Kiyosaki explained hey, this is, you know, my friends, this is my rich dad, this is my poor dad, even though he was highly educated.
Exactly.
Even though he was a head of I think it was in education, you know, he still had that poor mindset. I'm going to work this job and not building anything on the side. And Robert Kiyosaki found out how important it was to make sure you establish multiple streams of income. Yeah. And, you know, when it comes to the real estate investment, that's one of the ways of getting in. So the mindset, you know, those are the 2 books you read. Let's get into, you know, how your mindset actually started to change and when that shift actually happened, you know, going through Gold Coast, doing the things is it something that you continuously do when it comes to personal development?
Absolutely. You know, before then and up till now, you know, my personal development is even what led me to that, right? Because I've always been a bit of a rebel. I'm going to find a way to do things, and I'm not going to do it in the mainstream way. I'm just not. I'm not going to buy into the ideas that everybody has to do things this way, right? And so I never bought into the idea that education and degrees were necessary, because I watched too many people take that path and still not achieve their goals, or at the end of that path, they didn't work in the field that they, you know, where they got their degree. You know, or they did and then found that they didn't like it because it was an old dream from when they were little, and they've kind of grown past that, right? So that never really sat well with me. Now, to hear me say that, you would not believe how much I love to learn. Because, you know, you think, oh, you don't want to get educated, you don't want to get, you know, go the degree, but no, I absolutely love to learn. You know, reading is my number one thing. You know, people used to come to my house and say, you know, before we now went electronic, it's like I had so many books. I literally had a library. And people will walk in and say, "You're a teacher?" It's like, why do I have to be a teacher? Oh, you got so many books. Only teachers have books? You know, because I absolutely love to read. So that wasn't the reason. I'm just a rebel at heart. You know, don't tell me what I have to do a certain way. And so I've always searched for ways, you know, different ways to do things. I've always had a side hustle, right? I've even belonged to numerous multi-level marketing companies and the reason for that was I found out that if you're going to be a W-2 employee, you need some tax write-offs, especially as your income increases. You know, you need to be running a side business in order to have the tax write-offs. You need to be doing something to stimulate the economy, to create jobs, you know, something. So I've always had a side hustle, you know, and so real estate became the new side hustle, right? So that's really always been my mindset. And it's funny because right around that same time, I read a book, which is a little known book called Happy Pocket Full of Money. And it's become much more popular now. There's actually a version of it, an audio version of it on YouTube that you can look up, Happy Pocket Full of Money. It's actually by an African man. He's born and raised, I want to say Kenya, I could be off. But he's got full course and everything on YouTube now at no cost. And I had gotten a PDF copy of it right around that same time. And Happy Pocket Full of Money is all about us creating our world, that we create and control our world. And so, through my Christian upbringing, I had an idea, right, that we have something to do with what's happening, right? There's so many scriptures that pointed to that, but it just kind of gave a more direct path. Happy Pocket Full of Money kind of really correlated what was showing up in your world to what you were thinking, what you were saying, really direct correlation. And so I really honed in on that, well, if I'm creating my world, how am I doing that? And how can I do it better?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So really, side by side with my real estate journey. And real estate, like any sales profession, really challenges you, because anytime you are confronted with rejection, right, you have to really level up on who you are and how you feel, and getting overcoming those objections and things like that. And so sales always takes you on an inward path, because you've got to become better.
Let me ask you, let's expand on that a little bit longer. A little bit. Why do you think that people have such a problem with no? Why do you think people have, just cannot deal with being rejected, or be someone saying, no, I don't want a part of this here, or no, you know what, that's not for me. Why do you think it hits them so hard personally?
My belief is we all have these inner children that are still reacting the way we did to our parents, the way we did to getting in trouble, to being disciplined, right? We still have this almost childlike reaction, like, oh, I'm doing something wrong, I'm offending somebody, I'm gonna get in trouble. It's just kind of this little inner thing that we have from when we're children. And when you begin to realize that, you're like, okay, wait, now that I recognize where this is coming from, I can change it. And that's what that inner journey ends up being about when you're trying to develop yourself in sales, when you're trying to develop past the objections and the rejection, and asking yourself the questions, how do I become better at this? And so, like I said, it's a side-by-side journey, in real estate, in sales, and developing mindset, and specifically with the idea of, well, if I create my world, why aren't I doing better at this? Right? And so you really begin to dig deep, and you understand law of attraction. You understand that you are drawing to you things that are a match to you. But what you begin to learn later is, with law of attraction is law of reflection. And law of reflection says everything that shows up, you're a match to. It's a mirror. So it makes you really begin to question what shows up, and to say, okay, well, you showed up, what are you trying to show me?
Yes.
What is this thing revealing to me about myself? Because if I'm a match to this, it's telling me something that I need to pay attention to about myself, in myself, something I need to change, something that's triggering me, some hidden programming, right? Because we all operate on programs.
Exactly.
Right? We don't even know what we don't know. And I don't want to veer too much off, but I have to share, I had just this weekend listening to Deepak Chopra.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever listened to Deepak Chopra. Of course, he and Oprah, have made meditation famous, right? But as I was listening to him, he was giving an example of how fear can be innate in us. He was saying that there was this scientific experiment that was done where they, I believe it was cows, it was pasture, and they had an electric fence up, right, as they tend to do, right, on the borderline of the perimeter of the pasture, and they were shocking the animals, right? Of course, they get shocked when they touch the fence. Well, they ended up following that for 7 generations, and they noticed the immediate next generation already knew not to go near the fence.
Yes.
It was in their DNA that the last generation got shocked by that thing, and they came along, and it lasted 7 generations that they just never had to have the experience of touching the fence because it was in their DNA. I think that's powerful.
And I remember that experiment, but I also feel that when it comes to human beings, we're born with 2 fears, 2 innate fears, which is the fear of falling and loud noises.
Right.
Everything else, though, when it comes to fear, is what we are learning through our parents, don't touch that, oh, watch out for this here. So those innate, those fears are pretty much something that we learn through generation after generation, and we carry it along, we pass it along, just like you're saying, that we pass it along to the next generation because it's how it's been done over years.
Right.
And in order to get past that, we have to recognize it.
Exactly.
But most people, they don't want to do that self-reflection. They don't want to go deep inside themselves to recognize it.
Right.
So I'll let you finish it, then we're going to
No, absolutely. I completely agree, right? And that is really the general thinking, that if it wasn't one of those two initial fears, then it would have to be some experience that you had. But I think what was interesting for me is that those experiments show that there's a little bit more going on. And that is proven true in my life, where, like you said, why are you afraid? Why does that rejection from a stranger bother you so much, right? And that's not typically, you can't say I had an experience where I talked to somebody and they rejected me and now that scarred me. So where did that come from? And so no matter how it shows up and no matter where it came from, it's something ultimately we have to take 100% responsibility for, and we have to ask, why am I reacting this way? Why is this triggering me? And how can I address it? So that's the ultimate thing there.
Well, we're going to end right there. Based on that, we're going to go commercial. Those that are on Facebook, make sure you like, share, and make you start a watch party. Those that are on YouTube, subscribe, click the bell so you know when we upload our new commercial. You know when we upload our new show. We'll be right back. What's up, world? It's your boy, George Anthony, aka Big G Anthony. Hey, this is for you guys. It's out. Bulletproof Mindset. My first book. Listen, guys, this book I wrote when I was at a very low place and I was dealing with my demons of resentment, anger, frustration. I was going through a divorce. I'm unhappy at work. I was having financial issues to where it took me to a place to where, yes, I thought about making that ultimate sacrifice. However, I found out this lifestyle syntax, this 4-step process that I utilize to bring myself back in order to start putting myself in a better place, being more positive, and understanding that, like Les Brown said, that you're in a position today because of the decisions that you made in the past. I had to take ownership of it. The decisions that I made in the past is what led me to my financial problems. The decisions I made in the past is what led me to my divorce. The decisions I made in the past is what led me to my disgruntledness and my unhappiness at work. Those of you that are feeling stuck, I've been there. Bulletproof Mindset will help you out. You guys can get it on Amazon. Type in Bulletproof Mindset, Big G Anthony. Get yourself a copy. And those of you that get it, when I have my book signing, bring it in and I will personally autograph it for you. Bulletproof Mindset. You guys want to find out how I changed my rap? Get the book. Remember, you got to change your mindset to change your situation. Peace.
Go to bulletproof.bigganthony.com, bulletproof.bigganthony.com.
What up, world? It's your boy George Anthony, aka Big G Anthony. Welcome back to Massive Action Mindset. Again, I am sitting here with the beautiful Toni Jones, and we're talking about real estate investing. We're going to really get into this. She's going to tell you how you, as a layperson, can get into investing in real estate and start building your portfolio so that you can grow some sort of passive income that can help out you, your family, and break this generational curse of passing debt along to our kids.
Absolutely. So the easiest way to get started with investing, when you have a low amount of capital to get started, and maybe not perfect credit, is really with the fix and flips.
Okay.
Right? And everybody's into fix and flips, right? Because HGTV has made them very popular. So that really is the easiest way to get started. It's easy for a couple of reasons. Number one, because you don't have to have excellent credit. Because a lot of times you're doing fix and flips using hard money.
Okay.
And hard money has kind of gotten a bad rap, but hard money is useful. Most people think hard money is expensive. Well, there's nothing more expensive than inaction. Right? And so when you're comparing that to your money's doing nothing because you're taking no action, what is expensive, right? So hard money is a way to get in, and it doesn't require that you have excellent credit to just to get that started. The second reason that hard money is great is because you can borrow 100% of your rehab costs, so that you're only having to put about 10% of the purchase price to actually purchase the property. So that's great leverage. And so, when you're talking about you don't have to wait until you have perfect credit to do it, you don't have to wait until you have this huge bank account to get involved in that. It's just the easiest entry point. It's also something where you're going to be in and out of it in a relatively short period of time. So you're only talking a few months from the time you identify the property, you purchase it, you rehab it, you get it back on the market and list it for sale. And then you're taking those lump sums and building the capital that you have so that you can begin to do larger projects. So that's why I say it's a great starting point.
Yes.
The fix and flip with the hard money kind of get you in the door, get you started, and then you can really build up. Because I know a lot of people are wanting to really get into the buy and hold. They're wanting a cash flow. Everybody's heard of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow, cash flow game. Cash flow is the name of the game. But you need to have a decent property, and at that point you have to have the credit and the money to really get involved to have a decent cash flow that's more than just gas money.
Yes.
And so this lets you build up your capital. So you're doing all these fix and flips, building up that capital so that number one, you can do larger projects as you encounter them, and number two, that you're really building that capital so that when you're ready to get into a buy and hold strategy or into something like Airbnb, that you have more money to put into it. Because when you're talking about anything that you're going to hold as opposed to the fix and flips, you're going to buy it and hold it for cash flow, those programs really look like 20 to 25% down.
Yes.
So that's a big difference, right? 10% for fix and flips, or 20 to 25 if you want to buy and hold. So most people are not ready for that game. And when you're talking buy and hold, now you do have to have better credit for that.
Now I heard that it usually when it comes to the buy and hold income property strategy, that sometimes you actually require more than the 25%, like 30, 40% of times when it comes to that money coming out your pocket. Is that also true when it comes to the large amounts that you have to put down?
Yeah, the only time that you're required to put those larger amounts down is when you really have a low credit score and no experience, right? Because always with money, they're looking at how much risk are they about to carry on your behalf, right? So they're not only looking at, are you kind of a credit risk because you haven't been managing your credit so well? Are you putting very little skin in the game, so that's a little bit risky? And then have you had any experience with what you're doing? So if you're brand new, I can get you some money, but they're not going to give you the higher amounts because you're new. They're not sure that you know how to really rehab this property. Are you able to get it, on the market and sold in a short period of time? So they're just not sure about your project management skills if you haven't done anything yet, any investing yet. So all of those things combined make you a little riskier, right? But no, the average, even on the buy and hold properties, is 20 to 25%.
All right.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, just so for the lay person, when it comes to defining hard money, can you define that for them when it comes to hard money?
Hard money is a loan that really focuses on the asset. Most of the weight is on the asset, meaning the property that you're trying to purchase. So that's always if that doesn't fit, they're not doing the loan, no matter how much money you have or how great your credit is. The property has to fit. And so when you're talking about hard money, they're willing to do the 580 credit scores, and you just need your 10% down in your closing costs, and then they'll do 100% of the renovation costs. But the property has to fit. So even with all of those numbers and all of that criteria haven't been met, they're never going to give you more than 65% 65 to 70% of the after repair value. So whenever you're talking about a fix and flip, you're not only looking at how much can I get it for right now, but ultimately what's going to be the market value of the property once I fully rehab it, right? So you're chasing the highest property in the area, like how much did that sell for, so that I can take this home and rehab it to where it's equivalent to that highest value in the neighborhood, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be your after repair value that you're shooting for.
Mm-hmm.
So once you know what that number looks like, you back that into what the hard money program is going to give you, and that's going to be about 65 to 70% of whatever that after repair value is.
And
so that's the biggest difference.
And that's when you look at the fix and flips on HGTV and they start talking about, oh, well, you know what, the numbers didn't work for this one here.
Exactly.
They're looking at, all right, what I have to put in, what's going to be the aftermarket selling price, and if it doesn't fit in there with that buffer is they're going to make something off of it, it's not a good project for them. They will want to find something else.
Exactly. Because number one, not only does it not make a lot of financial sense to spend months doing this project and not walk away with anything from it, but when you know, which most of these programs that you see on HGTV, they are using hard money, which is why if you're a novice and you're watching this, you're thinking, well, why do they give themselves such a tight time frame? They're like, oh my God, we gotta go. This is money. It's costing us this much every day, and you're like, a newbie's like, why do they give themselves such a tight timeline? Just take more time to rehab it, right? Like that's kind of the thinking. The reason is because they're on a hard money clock. They know that they're paying this interest rate every day, and every day that they're dragging out the project is eating into their profit because they have to pay this loan, right? And hard money is a short-term loan. It's not meant for you to hang on to. It's meant for you to get in, fix it, flip it, get your money back, pay off that loan, and now you've got your profit.
Okay.
Right? So that's the thing with hard money. Like I said, people are used to that being a higher interest rate, but again, nothing worse than inaction. So
Yeah, exactly. So when it comes, the quick flips and building the equity and capital to start growing and moving, is this something also that you help investors with? Also, you help them grow, scale?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, there has to be the starting point, and for most people, it's just getting the knowledge, right? Mm-hmm. And so, I encourage people to just talk to me. Let's have the conversation so we figure out where you are and what path you need to take, right? For some people, it's that they just need to get a little bit of an improvement on their credit, right? Especially, so although we can get you money when you don't have excellent credit, you're going to have more opportunities and more programs available once you've gotten your credit, a little bit stabilized, right? And so I have different credit repair providers that I connect people with. I've got one program where for as little as $50 a month, people can start cleaning up their credit, right? And for a lot of people, that's priceless for so many reasons beyond just investing, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of people that I speak with that's gonna be their first stop, is really spending 3 to 6 months cleaning up their credit, getting off all the inaccuracies, that misreported information, the things that are showing up in duplicates and triplicates. There's a lot of violations right now. That's why the credit unions have been under fire for all the inaccuracies that they're reporting. So now's a great time to clean it up. So that's a huge thing that huge first step for a lot of people, especially when you're new in investing, right? Because you already have that risk, against you that you don't have the project experience yet.
Yes.
So at least try and get your credit score so that you're not risky on all fronts, right? Low capital, bad credit, and 0 project experience. Mm-hmm. Try to get one of those taken care of.
Maybe I'm about to ask more of an advanced question, but when it comes to that initial investor, what if that person has his own business, and getting that business credit, building that business credit? So now you're utilizing the business to work for you rather than your own personal credit. So how does that work with the, if I ask the question the correct way, when it comes to working in investing? Is it best to start off as, I'm getting this in my name, or putting it in the business name and growing from there?
So when you're talking about business credit, that's really going to apply to loans that you're going to get to grow your business, right? When you're talking about real estate investing, 99% of the loans are going to be in the name of a company. So you're going to start an LLC or a corporation, and you're going to be purchasing the property in the name of that LLC or that corporation,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
And there's many reasons for that. One of the main ones being liability. You want to definitely, get that liability away from you. And a lot of investors actually started one LLC per property, so that you're segmenting the liability from each property.
Oh, wow.
Right? So it's just all about a strategy. You talk to your accountant about exactly the best, tax and liability strategy for you. So there's another complimentary loan program that I offer to help people get started. And it's for newbies and for experienced people that, maybe in between projects and short on cash, right, to continue with their projects. And that's an unsecured gap funding program. And what that allows people to do is to get an unsecured line of credit. And it allows them to get started if they're a little low on capital. Now that program does require that they have at least a 660 credit score and at least $30,000 of regular income. And that can be W-2 income or self-employment income, 1099 income. As long as they have at least those two basic things, then we can get them some capital. And it's going to be better than just going to the bank and getting an unsecured loan, because we can typically get them almost double whatever their annual income is.
Oh, wow.
Right? Yeah, and that's pretty hard to get if you walk into a bank or credit union or anything. They're barely going to give you your annual, much less more than double, close to double of that. So that's a great way for people to get started. If they're like, they've done the numbers, they see that, they're going to walk away with $20,000, $30,000 off a flip. And so they're like, okay, I'm going to pull cash from wherever. That's what we're seeing. A lot of investors are saying, okay, I'll put this off long enough, trying to save up this money to get started. And so they reach out to me to tap into this source of unsecured lending. And it's called gap funding because it is filling that gap, that you need to get started, right? And again, it's not only for the new people, but for experienced people as well that are just low on their cash because they're waiting to sell that next property in order to recover their cash from the investment.
So would that program be good for someone that is, like you just mentioned, that's new, that wants to go out, that wants to start, but feel as if they're stuck? Or, how do I go about doing this here? I hear about the no money down and all this other stuff like that. Right. I don't see my way to that right now. Right. So if this is a way for them to get in, to get that first initial property, so that they can gain that initial capital and reinvest that into their next property.
Exactly. That's exactly what it's for. The people that are done waiting and they want to take some kind of action. So, that's really key here. Reach out, let's have the conversation and see exactly where you're at so you can take that first step, that next step towards your goals.
Well, people, this is what this is all about. Again, here you are. You're getting the information that if you want to get into real estate flipping, there are programs out here that you can get, that you can start right now, that you don't need to necessarily have the $10, $15, or $20,000 of capital sitting there to invest. There are programs that will allow you to invest based upon your credit score, based upon your annual salary, that will at least get you moving in your first property. So this is why you have individuals like Toni here that are able to provide you that information, that knowledge to get you moving in the direction that you need to move. People say knowledge is power. That's not necessarily true. Applied knowledge is power. So learn these things, go out there and apply it so you can go out and start moving to go get you your first property and start building something that is going to be, that you can pass down generationally. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to commercial. When we get back, Toni's going to give you her social media, how you can reach out to her, get in contact with her, and we'll go a little bit more, probably talk a little bit more about property and how you can go out here and start right away. We'll be back after this commercial. What's up, world? It's your boy, George Anthony, aka Big G Anthony. Hey, this is for you guys. It's out. Bulletproof Mindset, my first book. Listen, guys, this book I wrote when I was at a very low place and I was dealing with my demons of resentment, anger, frustration. I was going through a divorce. I'm unhappy at work. I was having financial issues to where it took me to a place to where, yes, I thought about making that ultimate sacrifice. However, I found out this lifestyle syntax, this 4-step process that I utilize to bring myself back in order to start putting myself in a better place, being more positive, and understanding that, like Les Brown said, that you're in a position today because of the decisions that you made in the past. I had to take ownership of it. The decisions that I made in the past is what led me to my financial problems. The decisions I made in the past is what led me to my divorce. The decisions I made in the past is what led me to my disgruntledness and my unhappiness at work. Those of you that are feeling stuck, I've been there. Bulletproof Mindset will help you out. You guys can get it on Amazon. Type in Bulletproof Mindset, Big G Anthony. Get yourself a copy. And those of you that get it, when I have my book signing, bring it in and I will personally autograph it for you. Bulletproof Mindset. You guys want to find out how I changed my rap? Get the book. Remember, you got to change your mindset to change your situation. Peace.
Go to bulletproof.bigganthony.com, bulletproof.bigganthony.com.
What up, world? It's your boy, George Anthony, aka Big G Anthony. Welcome back to Massive Action Mindset. Again, I'm sitting here with beautiful Toni Jones, and we're talking about property, investing, and how you can go out here and start creating something that will give you some sort of passive income. But what we're going to get into right now, I want Toni to let you know how you can get in contact with her, how she can help you and provide you the information to get you moving in getting that first property.
Yes, thank you. So the very best way, and the way I recommend, is that you just give me a call and let's have a conversation. You can reach me at 561-250-3863. And give me a call, let's talk about where you're at and what's the first step that you can take towards accomplishing your dreams and goals. The second way that you can reach me is going to be my website. That's firstsourcecapitalfunding.com. And that's the number 1 ST, sourcecapitalfunding.com. And then I'm available on all the social media platforms. I'm very active on LinkedIn. You'll find me at linkedin.com/REBrokerToni. That's REBROKER And I'm RE Broker Toni on all of my social media platforms. So you'll find me there on Facebook, facebook.com, RE Broker Toni. That's just been my handle for the last 10 years. So if you type in Google RE Broker Toni, I'll come up on all the different social media platforms.
All right, guys. Now, that number she gave is for business, all right? Not the car. I know she's attractive, but that's for business, okay? So, with let's get a little bit into your podcast, because you have a couple of those. So, let everybody know about those podcasts and how they can find them, and if they want to be a guest on the show or talk about a little bit more, how they can reach out and get in touch with you there.
Sure. So I have a Real Estate Goddesses podcast, and that's with my business partner, Nada Reyes, and I. Nada partners with me on the actual real estate sales and listing side of the business, and I focus mostly on the finance piece of it. So on Real Estate Goddesses, we talk about all things real estate, first-time homebuyer programs. We have a We Love Our Heroes program, which gives rebates to police officers and teachers and all the first responders. And so we talk about a lot of real estate-based things, and then where does the goddesses come in? Because we cannot separate our spirituality and our mindset from what we do. It's who we are, right? So Real Estate Goddesses addresses all of those things, mindset and real estate. And you'll find us on realestategoddesses.com, facebook.com/realestategoddesses, and we have our Real Estate Goddesses YouTube channel. So you'll find us in all those places. And then I also have a separate podcast, and that's under Toni Jones Mindset. And you'll find me on anchor.fm, and all of the different, Apple and Spotify and all the places that Anchor syndicates to. And that's under Toni Jones Mindset. You'll find me on Instagram under Toni Jones Mindset. And that podcast is strictly my spiritual journey. My law of attraction journey, law of reflection, straight spiritual mindset.
Well, you know what? Let's just give them just a little piece of that, because it's important to me that people understand that spirituality, personal growth goes hand in hand. If you want to elevate and become more successful, the more enlightened you are, the more that you're opening your frequency to be able to pick up, abundance. Because most of us live in lack because we're so afraid to move. So when it comes to elevating yourself and opening yourself up, let's just touch on this just a little bit and just give them just a little sample of, a topic you would have on your show.
Well, one great example of a recent topic we had based on the book 30 Days of Thought, which I had mentioned to you that we're going through that book, and it just triggers conversation. And so one of the topics this past week was about energy. It was about moving energy. And that particular conversation was key to what we're talking about, mindset and business, because it has to do with moving energy in your life. And you talked about knowledge, right? So it's knowledge and energy. We take in all this energy, right? We read books. I told you I'm a huge advocate of reading books, right? I'm a huge information and knowledge person. I love to have all the information. But I can tend to hold that all in, right? And it almost has to be dragged out of me sometimes. If you have a one-on-one conversation with me, I've got a lot to say. But I'm only going to say it if I'm drawn into a conversation about it. And so this week was about challenging yourself to not bottleneck that energy. Because when you're just taking in all this information, you're literally storing energy. It's not flowing, right? And we know that if things are not flowing, we're talking Dead Sea here, right? If things have to be flowing, you have to be exchanging energy with your environment.
Yes.
And so that's part of abundance, right? I know that my daughter and Serena and I had this conversation this week about how, with your money, you have to move your money. You have to keep that flow. You can't just, hold on to the money. You got to get it out there in the world doing some work. And all energy is like that, whether it's currency, energy, knowledge and thought energy. Like you said, knowledge is not power unless it's applied, right? And so that's the same thing. And it's all energy based. It's like if I'm taking in all this information and knowledge and keeping it to myself and not sharing it with the world, I've just stored energy. I have a bottleneck of energy. So when I'm getting out there, getting on podcasts, having conversations with people, now I'm letting that energy flow. I'm actually sharing that knowledge out into the world, and then it can come back to me. Otherwise, I'm just, it's stuck.
Yeah, there's when it comes to, Serena used to talk to me all the time when it comes to getting out there, doing things with social media, putting your information out there. And, you have a lot of people that say, hey, you know what, I don't have any content. And, what am I going to talk about? But first of all, it's got to be something that you're passionate about, that people are going to see that you're authentic about what you're actually, the information you're trying to provide to them. But also, what you're talking about, passing it on, moving it. What I learned from an online mentor, there's 3 things when it comes to content. You learn the content, which means you acquire that knowledge. You do the content, which means you're mastering the knowledge that you're sitting up here and applying it because you're doing it. The third thing, you teach it. So you learn, do, teach. That's how you never run out of content. All this information that we're gathering from these books, your interpretation of this book is different than my interpretation. Absolutely. So we can read the same book and teach the same thing, but it's going to come across differently because how you interpret it.
Exactly.
So learn, do, teach when it comes to moving that information. And I really feel you on that one, because we do have a lot of people that just bottle things up, and you're doing a disservice to the world. You're doing a disservice to yourself. You have something that you can contribute. You have something that you can put out into the world. Just start moving.
Absolutely. I mean, and I think that was huge for me, because I tend to say, oh, I read the book, and if I read the book is available, so other people have read it, so what's there to talk, right? And like you said, you realize that, first of all, not everybody read the book.
Yes.
Right? Some people are coming because they want the distilled version. Tell me what it said. And I notice we're even doing that with things like video. Like if you go to watch a YouTube video, you realize that in the comments, they're already telling everybody who's coming. They're summarizing it in the comments for the people that don't want to watch the video, right? Like everybody's got this, fast food convenient society. So just sharing our knowledge. Not only is it distilling the information for people that don't want to read the whole book, right? But we're also coming from our unique perspective. Nobody stands where we stand.
Yeah. All right, everyone, we're going to go to commercial, but before we go, I want to make sure everybody on Facebook like, share, and start a watch party. This is a lot of information. Man, you won't believe what's going on in this room today. Whoa. Those that are on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, click the bell, so you will be notified when we upload our new content. We'll be right back after this commercial. What's up, world? It's your boy, George Anthony, aka Big G Anthony. Hey, this is for you guys. It's out. Bulletproof Mindset, my first book. Listen, guys, this book I wrote when I was at a very low place and I was dealing with my demons of resentment, anger, frustration. I was going through a divorce. I'm unhappy at work. I was having financial issues to where it took me to a place to where, yes, I thought about making that ultimate sacrifice. However, I found out this lifestyle syntax, this 4-step process that I utilize to bring myself back in order to start putting myself in a better place, being more positive, and understanding that, like Les Brown said, that you're in a position today because of the decisions that you made in the past. I had to take ownership of it. The decisions that I made in the past is what led me to my financial problems. The decisions I made in the past is what led me to my divorce. The decisions I made in the past is what led me to my disgruntledness and my unhappiness at work. Those of you that are feeling stuck, I've been there. Bulletproof Mindset will help you out. You guys can get it on Amazon. Type in Bulletproof Mindset, Big G Anthony. Get yourself a copy. And those of you that get it, when I have my book signing, bring it in and I will personally autograph it for you. Bulletproof Mindset. You guys want to find out how I changed my rap? Get the book. Remember, you got to change your mindset to change your situation. Peace.
Go to bulletproof.bigganthony.com, bulletproof.bigganthony.com.
What up, world? It's your boy, George Anthony, aka Big G Anthony, and it is hanger time. You know, like we do every single episode, we have the expert in their niche sit down and give you 3 actionable steps that you can go out and take today. All right? This is all a massive action mindset. This is all about movement. We gave you a lot of information. Please look at it, go back, rewind it, replay it so you can pick up some of these nuggets that was here. But most importantly, make sure you reach out to Miss Toni Jones so she can sit up here and give you the information that you need. But she's going to give you her 3 actionable steps right now.
All right, thank you. So my first suggestion would be to get a good copy of your credit report to see where you stand, since so much relies on that. I know that everybody's into this Credit Karma now. I'm not talking about Credit Karma. Credit Karma does not give you a real credit score, the kind that lenders use. So I would suggest that you pull up all 3 bureaus, and an easy way to do that would be with creditchecktotal.com. They've got a $1 trial that you can tap into to get your complete credit report from all 3 bureaus as well as scores. So that's number 1. Let's find out where you're at. My second suggestion would be to give me a call. 561-250-3863. Let's have a conversation, talk about what your goals are for your real estate investing, and talk about how we can get you from where you are to where you'd like to be. So let's have that conversation. And really, George, my third has to go back to mindset. Everything starts with your mind and how you think about it. And the biggest thing for me every day is to have a meditation practice. Have a way to settle your mind, to quiet your mind. And just allow your source, your spirit, your energy, your higher self, your God self to speak through you. And so that's really the biggest thing for me, getting your mindset right from first thing in the morning.
Well, we heard that. Your 3 steps. Pull your credit score so you know where you stand. You know you have to improve it, or you know where you're already in a good place. Second, reach out to Miss Toni Jones so that you can get the information. And guys, this is business. I have to say it again, business. And third, you got to quiet your mind and come up with a regimen to start creating the mindset of abundance, to start visualizing your end goal. That's what meditation and spirituality and energy is truly all about. It's about raising your energy level, that you start attracting into your life the things that you truly want, and dispelling the negative things, what you start seeing how when you're intentional with your thoughts. Intentional, those things that you think about will eventually be about it. So before we leave, let's give them your social media information again and how they can contact you.
Best way, just Google rebrokertoni.com, and my LinkedIn, my Instagram, my Facebook, all of those things will come up if you just put in rebrokertoni.com. I've been in the game a long time, so I'm everywhere.
All right, guys. You know what? We're wrapping up the show right now. Those that want to follow me, make sure you follow me on Instagram at Big G Anthony. Those that want to follow me on Facebook, it's Big G Anthony on Facebook. Those that want to be on the show, contact me at www.massiveactionmindset.com. There's a drop-down menu that's there that you can put in your information, and someone from my team will contact you. Again, the way I always end the show, you got to change your mindset to change your situation. We'll see you next week.
From Brooklyn's Barbershop, owner here. Would like you guys to come out, check us out. We're in the Village Commons by the Publix, 771 Village Boulevard, Suite 203. You can find us at brooklysbarbershop.com. Also on Facebook and Instagram at Brooklyn's Barbershop.
Hi guys, my name is Franz, the CEO of Richmond Look. We are inside of Boynton Beach location. Our only location in South Florida as of now. It's located at 474 North Federal Highway, Boynton Beach, Florida. Zip code 33435. Our phone number, not many people use it. People tend to send us message on Instagram now. But the phone number is 561-317-5981. It's a beautiful store. Please stop by and see us.
How you doing? My name is Carlos,
My name is Eddie.
and we're here at JP's Barbershop, located at 1800 South Dixie Highway, Lake Worth, Florida, 33460. If you want to come show us love, we'll be here waiting on you, ready to make you happy. You can contact me at 786-740-8171.
You can contact me at 561-248-4702. You can come by, anytime you guys want, and we'll get you ready.